Hey party people, I'm here to show you today how in the world do you graph a system of equations when your equations aren't in slope-intercept form. So let's take a look at this. Um, it's easy to get overwhelmed when you look at a problem like this, but if you break it down into the sum of its parts, each individual thing, it's not too bad. And let's start with this equation right here. Let's hone in on it. When I look at it, I know it's not in slope-intercept form. If it was in slope-intercept form, it would look like y equals something, we usually call that m, x, plus, again, another something, and that's usually our b, and this is our slope, and this is our y-intercept. We need to know what those are in order to graph it. But I don't know which is which right now. And it's easy to assume that this might be b, this might be, the y-intercept, and that this still might be the slope, but that's actually not the case, and we're going to see why in just a second. We actually need to solve this equation. And when we're solving this equation, we have a very specific goal. That goal is to get y by itself. If I get y by itself, I expect to see y equals something, okay? Which means I have to get rid of some things. And specifically, what would I have to get rid of for y to be by itself? The answer, negative 2x and 2. They both need to go. Or really just this whole thing, everything but y. So I can sort of box all of this together if I want to. Now, keep in mind, minus 2x is its own thing, since they're sort of stuck together, and 2 is its own thing next to y. And which would I get rid of first? The correct answer is this, 2x. And I do that by doing the inverse. Instead of minus 2x, I will do plus 2x. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. So it's always helpful to rewrite what you have at this step, because your negative 2x and your 2x cancel, leaving you with 2y is equal to, well, the positive 2x minus 4. Now, could I have written that as minus 4 plus 2x? Well, of course I could have, but if you think about it, this one right here is in slope-intercept form, and this one is not. So I'd prefer just to put the x first. It's not really a big deal. Now, the last step is just to do what? You know how to get rid of that too. That's right, you divide it. When we divide it, we get y equals x minus 2, which tells you that you have a slope of 1 and a y-intercept of negative 2. Now, with that in mind, let's move on to the second one, and I'll need your help to do this. When you look at it, what are the things that we need to get rid of to get y by itself? What you should have answered was 3 and 3x. If those things go away, we'll end up with y equals something, which is exactly what our goal is. Now let's just pretend you know how to get rid of each of these. You know how to get rid of a times 3. You know how to get rid of a plus 3x. The question is, which one do we do first? We know we do plus 3x first because, according to SADME-P, the inverse order of operations, we always get rid of addition before multiplication. See how it's first? With that in mind, go ahead and subtract 3x from both sides and tell me what you get. If you did it correctly, you should get 3y is equal to minus 3x minus 18. And the last step is to do what? If you said divide by 3, you are correct. And if you think about it, divide everything by 3. 3y divided by 3 is y. Negative 3x divided by 3 is negative 1x. And negative 18 divided by 3 is just negative 6. With that in mind, we have our new equation right here. And here's our other equation up here. Oh, just kidding. And we need to graph both of these. We need to graph y equals 1x minus 2 and y equals negative 1x minus 6. Solve this. So I have this question pulled up on Khan Academy. I'm just going to use it really quickly. And let's just take a look at this. On this graph, if I want to do, for example, y equals negative 1x minus 6, I start with the y-intercept, which is negative 6. Very good. So I'm going to bring this down to negative 6. I'm going to use my slope, which is negative 1, which means I go down 1. And do I go right 1 or left 1? I should go right 1. That will give me a negative slope. Now for the second equation, really the first one, the y-intercept was negative 2. And the slope is 1, which means I go up 1 and over 1, which means I should have it right there. So if I look at my graph now, what is the ordered pair of the intersection? What's the solution to this? If you look at it, I think it's pretty obvious to see that right here is the solution, and that's 2, negative 4. So the answer to the system of equations is 2, negative 4. And that's it. Good job if you figured that out. You're going to have to do that on your own. Again, when you're rearranging, basically you're either going to add or subtract the x and whatever's next to it, and then you're basically just going to divide what's next to y. So you add or subtract, then divide. Add or subtract, then divide every single time. So just to give you one more quick example, I had 2x minus y equals 4. Again, the only thing you need to do is subtract 2x to both sides, and then you're going to divide, in this case, because you have minus y, by negative 1 to get rid of that negative sign, and that would end up giving you something like positive 2x minus 4. And I think you guys can figure this out. Let me know if you need help on this. I'd be happy to come over and help you one-on-one as you're doing the practice problems. Just give me a holler.